In this video, we'll demonstrate how to create a class to help the mouse chase an object on the screen. This is the chase applet that is described in Chapter 6. What we'll do is create a brand new project from scratch using the 3 Java files that were already on the machine. So let's call it Chase Project. And the way you can add Java files is you say add class from file, and you can navigate to wherever the files are. In this case, I want 3 files, chase.java, funnyface, and timer.java. So now they're all added to the project, and this compiles just fine. One thing I did to demonstrate this is I kept the timer class empty. So everything works except the timing aspect of this. That is, if we run this, when you try to click on the face, you can take as long as you want between the click and when you click on the face. You see, anytime I click on the face, I will win. Of course, I can miss, but the timing aspect of this does not work. So let's see how to get that to work. So we have the timer class all laid out here, nothing in any of the methods and no instance variables. We do need an instance variable. This will be the start time when the mouse is clicked. So let's call it start time. It will be of type double. And the way the constructor will work is when we create a timer, we want the start time to be whatever the current time is in milliseconds. And this is given by this system call that was mentioned last week, I believe. So we now have the start time when the timer is created. And the elapsed time in seconds should be given by the time when this is invoked, the difference between the time when this is invoked and the start time. So whenever this is invoked, we just compute the current time in milliseconds and subtract the start time. And that would be the elapsed time in milliseconds. That's not the same as the elapsed time in seconds. Since this is in milliseconds, to compute the elapsed time in seconds, we do the same thing and divide by 1,000. Okay, so that at least compiles. And to reset, what we do is we set the start time once again to the current system time. So we filled in all the methods. One thing that is not the most elegant is this over here. You see this expression is exactly the same as this, and the method elapsed time milliseconds returns that expression. So why don't I just call this method in here, which we can do like this. Okay. So what this does is it invokes the method defined here for whatever this object is, and that's what the keyword this is. We don't know what the user of this class is going to name the object. Whatever that name is, we can say this. Java lets you leave that out, so here it is implicit, yet it's always a good idea to know that it is implicit, that's really there. Okay, so now with all of this in place, we can run this, and the timing aspect of it is working. So I can click on the face. When I click again, if I'm not fast enough, I'm too slow. There, I got to it in time. So now that works. One final note, why is it that we declare instance variables to be private? Here's one example for why we do that. The reason is because we don't want a user of this class to have anything to do with the instance variable. So it's private. So we shouldn't be able to access the instance variable outside of the class. For example, it is in Chase where we actually create this timer. The name of the object is stopwatch. That's the thing that we used. The word this, in this particular case, meant the object stopwatch. Now let's look for a place where we actually use the stopwatch. Like over here, we say stopwatch.reset. We could try to access the instance variable directly. It's called start time. And here's an example of a careless user of the class. I'm being the careless user. I'm trying to set the start time to 0, which actually doesn't make any sense because the start time should be what the current system time is. That's why I made it private. And you see, by making it private, we cause a compiler error if we try to access it from another class. We get the error that start time has private access in timer. We can fix that in a sense by giving it public access. So that compiles, and Chase compiles as well now. However, as I said, this doesn't really make sense. If someone is going to obey the law of stopwatches, when they reset it, they want to reset it to the current time, not to 0. So this is not something we should allow. We should only allow any changes in start time to work via the methods. This is one example of why we make instance variables private.